copy that kind of activates these patterns in the brain. And I'm proud to introduce Brian Massey, the conversion scientist.
John, don't go away.
I'm going to switch it over to the so-called PowerPoint.
First of all, I am in love with Stockholm. Thank you for the wonderful weather. It's been fantastic. And someday I hope to speak English as well as you do.
There you go. Here's the clicker.
Thank you. I'm going to set that here. So it's a tradition to have those that show leadership and conversion and ability to do it, to have their own lab coat. This is a special lab coat. This is my original lab coat from 5 years ago. It even has the old logo. But I wanted you to have this to symbolize your dedication.
So here comes Betty. So it's a mini shot. Good. Okay. It's all yours.
Having done that, if I'm using the clicker correctly, I'm here to talk to you about the bouncers in your brain. The things that keep your marketing messages from getting inside the minds of the prospects that are coming to your website or reading your emails. They keep your messages out and keep you from persuading and ultimately converting. I'm going to start off by showing you a couple of examples of businesses that have really based their business model on copywriting. Some of the successes they've had. First of all, this is Beta Brand. This is a company that was started in 2009, and their first product was called Quarter-Rounds. These are corduroy pants that instead of the whales, the cords running up and down, they run around, much like you see here, running sideways. They have had great success. Over the last 3 years, they've had 432% growth. They just got a round of funding, $8.5 million, and they have enjoyed success both because of their quirky products and because of the way they write about their products. So let's take an example. These Quarter-Rounds, they say friction-free. Unlike vertical corduroy, which produces friction that can heat your crotch to uncomfortable, potentially catastrophic levels, Quarter-Rounds horizontal wales mesh evenly, lowering the average wearer's crotch heat index reading, the CHI, by up to 22%. I love made-up metrics. They even have diagrams, formulas. They're having a lot of fun with this. Of course, it's all crap. It's bullshit. It's made up. But this has brought them great success. Product page for one of their products is called the Bike to Work pants. These are pants that transform, the pockets fold out, there's a reflector, and the legs come up and they hold so you don't get the grease from the chain on them. That page has 220,000 backlinks to that one page alone. Their emails have open rates of between 40% and 45%. And every day, they have 25 pictures uploaded from customers that love their products and took a picture of them with their product. So this is working very well. Quirky products and the copy to support them. The CEO, Chris Linland, says, if you create something with a hook, you can experience dramatic results. And we're going to talk about why that hook is important in your copywriting. You don't have to have as crazy a product as this, but you do need to speak in a voice that gets into your visitor's brain. Let's look at another one. You might be familiar. How many of you are familiar with Groupon? Good, good. So Groupon had an amazing IPO. Their stock has not done that well since then, but they are continuing to grow. So the company is doing well. It is growing. These guys have, at the end of 2012, they have 170 million people on their emailing list. 170 million. How many times do they mail a week? 7 times a week. They mail every single day. How many of you could mail every day to your list and not have everybody leave? Yeah. So there's great deals involved in these things, but the other important thing for them is the copy. It's an important part of their ability to keep people on the list. Let's take a look. This is for a lawn care service in Austin, Texas, where I'm from. And this says, neglected lawns and gardens quickly overgrow into jungly briars that attract deadly predators such as pumas, tigers, and the predator riding a tiger. It's a reference to an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from the 80s. Chop, snip, and mow your way to an orderly and alien-free yard with today's Groupon. This is a lawn service. Who writes like that about a lawn service? Turns out that they do this on purpose, and I was able to see a job description for the copywriters when Groupon was looking for more copywriters, and obviously they need a lot. An email a day, 170 million people, local emails. And this is what they look for. Each day's Groupon features a write-up describing the deal with thoroughly researched, informative selling points that range from the straightforward to the whimsical and bizarre. We strive to avoid marketing cliches, very important, shooting instead for vivid description rooted in complete transparency and embellished with well-crafted absurdities. Well-crafted absurdities, the whimsical and the bizarre. They're looking for something very particular. And I would argue that this is a strong reason for their success, because their copy matches the voice and brand of the audience, of their company, and it doesn't stop there. It keeps people awake and reading and interested. So what are we going to do today? Well, my number one goal is when you leave here after my 45-minute presentation, you are going to be much better copywriters. That's my promise. We're going to look at the bouncers in your brain, find out who they are. We're going to talk about what to do about them, and then how to consistently create copy that defeats them. Y'all ready? Yeah? All right. So first of all, let me get an idea of who you are. How many of you are pure copywriters? You spend most of your time writing copy. Just a few. That's not surprising. How many of you manage a copywriting process as a part of your job? More. How many of you manage a complete website? So copy, design, technology. And how many of you are one-man shops or small and do everything on your website? Anybody here? There we go. All right, good. All right, that gives me a good idea. So I think we've got something good for you today. Let me talk a little about who I am. First of all, you got to be wondering what the lab coat means really to me. When I put the lab coat on, it means that I'm leaving the world of marketing myth, of gut reaction, of superstitions, of wondering if the gods are going to grant me a good conversion rate, and I'm dealing with data. I'm dealing with information, with test results, analytics, things that can guide me, not by my guesses, but by actually watching what my visitors do and what my buyers do, and trying to give them what they want. So that's what the lab coat means to me. I was trained as a computer scientist, so I'm a programmer by training. Out of college, I went into sales, and then did several stints as a corporate marketer. And Conversion Sciences is the second company that I've started. I ran a web consulting company in the 90s. And when you push all that together and mash it together, I don't know what else you could get but a conversion scientist. Can you think of anything else? It's kind of a strange mixture. So I call myself a conversion scientist. We're consultants. We're conversion optimization consultancy. We're located in Austin, Texas. I am now an international speaker because of this trip. Thank you very much. I wrote a book, Your Customer Creation Equation, Unexpected Website Formulas of the Conversion Scientist, and it is really targeted at people who are managing websites, making sure they're asking the right questions of their designers and their developers. I think it's fantastic. I hope you like it. And we're going to be giving some away today, right?
We're going to sell them up there at the discussion.
Oh, okay, great, great. Even better. And I am a labware fashion model, as you can tell. So I asked Joanna Wiebe, who was with Copy Hackers, what is copy? How do you find copy? And this is what she's written in her book. Using words, typography, punctuation, and images to communicate your messages in ways that will engage your visitors. Makes sense? Typography, images, punctuation, so it's not just about the words. And we'll see that that's true. I think that it's words, typography, punctuation, and images, and that can include moving images, video, that can create action, call people to take action, because that's what persuasion is, bringing them to choice. The question is, why do we have to work so hard? Why can't we just list our features, talk about the benefits, and then let the reader decide? Huh? Show a nice picture, some words, give them the price. Why doesn't that work? It's because there's a couple bastards in their brains keeping the messages out, and two men discovered them. I want to introduce you to Pierre-Paul Broca and Carl Wernicke. These guys discovered two parts of the brain that act to keep your messages out. So if you could, please, raise your left hand. There we go. Bend at the elbow and place your finger just behind your left ear. You are now pointing at Wernicke's area. This is located in the posterior portion of the superior temporal gyrus. Its job is to take sounds called nouns and turn them into the images that represent them. Raise your hand again. Bend at the elbow. Place your finger just in front of your left ear. You're now pointing at Broca's area. This is located in the triangular portion of the inferior frontal gyrus. And its job is to take verbs and cast them onto what neuroscientists call the visual spatial sketchpad. Sometimes we call this short-term memory, working memory, but this is where your brain starts to imagine doing things. And this obviously is very important to us as persuasive writers. These two guys together are joined by a a network of high bandwidth fibers called the arcuate fasciculus. So they work very closely together, They work in tandem to keep your messages out, or if they think the message is important, make sure that it gets sent on and that action follows. So language here in these areas is not just decoded. They're not taking the symbols and turning them into meaning. But in fact, Wernicke's area is very close to the part of the brain where it can retrieve memories and feelings and emotions. So when I say a noun such as book, you don't picture a book in an architectural drawing. You picture a book that you've seen from your past. It comes out of your past. Maybe it's a book that you've enjoyed. Maybe it's a book that you had a good experience with sitting on the beach. So all of this comes and it adorns that word book. And when we can do that as writers, we tap into something very powerful. Something that can really help our visitors imagine themselves taking action, using our product, getting the piece of content that we're using for lead generation. And when that happens, Roy Williams, who introduced me to a lot of this research, says no one does anything until they've imagined themselves doing it. So this can be very, very powerful. Let's take a look at some brain scans. So this is someone looking at words. But this is when the bouncers are working. It's not getting through. This is when they're scanning, looking for something. The activity is primarily here in the back of the brain, the visual cortex. So it just means that they're looking at it as if it was a picture. However, when generating words, when speaking words, or when reading them, when understanding them, when you get past these guys, you can see Broca's area and Wernicke's area are both lit up in these brain scans. This is what we want. And you can even see where they're starting to pull, where there's some activity in the cortex. Those memories are being pulled into Wernicke's area. This is what we want brains to do. So what do we do? How do we get Wernicke's area to stop blocking our messages? How do we get entree into those memories and those emotions that make our copy so powerful? Well, Wernicke's area is looking for relevance, emotion, and storytelling. Relevance, relevant to something I've experienced. Emotion, attached to an emotion that I've experienced. And storytelling, which is a universal way of tapping into things. Here's an example of this at work. Relevance at work. SAP Americas did a test, and their control said, access valuable business intelligence briefs, demos, webcasts, and white papers. Now, I don't know how many of you guys woke up in the middle of the night sweating, thinking, oh my gosh, I need an intelligence brief. We don't have enough intelligence briefs to read. I gotta go find one. No, probably your memory of intelligence briefs and demos and webcasts is, So Wernicke's not going to be grabbing anything exciting there. If you're like me, though, and you wear a slab coat, these are the sorts of words that start to get exciting. You may yawn as well. For me, advanced analytics, dashboards and visualizations. These are the problems I have to solve in my business. Query, reporting, and analysis. Information architecture. And these are the top 5 solutions. So I know that these are the things that other people have found helpful. This is much more relevant. And in fact, in this test, they had a 24% increase in leads. Specifics are more relevant. Be as specific. Be absurdly specific if you can. Because this makes Wernicke say, I can connect this to something in my experience. Here's another one. This is for an addiction treatment center. People with drug addictions, gambling addictions, alcohol addictions. And this is a headline, a place of new beginnings. So if you think about where an addict or the family member of an addict is coming from, there's probably been some tragedy. There's been loss of money, loss of health, loss of family. So a place of new beginnings makes logical sense, but it doesn't really get past the bouncers. It was tested against this one. Addiction torments addicts and their loved ones. This is a whole story in 7 words. A complete story in 7 words. You got a good guy, the loved ones, and the addict. You got a bad guy, the addiction. You have a conflict, the torment that it creates. And you have a resolution to the story, which is implied if you read on. So how well did this do? It did very well. 184% increase in leads generated. So do you understand how this wakes up Wernicke and accesses those memories, the torment, the loved ones? That's relevance. Broca's area, its primary job is to filter the predictable. So as our brains were evolving and we were living in the grasslands, we had to know the difference between the wind blowing the grass and the grass that was moving because a tiger was stalking us. So Broca's area evolved to make sure that we weren't confused by the blowing grass all the time and that we could distinguish between those things that would make a difference, that were life-threatening, and those things that were just going on every day. So it's doing that to your messages too. Most of your messages are blowing grass. You need to add a tiger to your message. These two work together. Broca accesses information from Wernicke's area, and it is standing at the guard to the motor cortex. The motor cortex is where we turn whatever we imagine doing into the physical impulses that allow us to move. This is very important. If you want someone to do something, they actually have to generate the impulses to do that, to move the fingers to click, to type in the name. This is where action happens. And Broca stands there, flat-footed, protecting the motor cortex. But we're going to learn how to get past that today. Surprising Broca. How do we make our messages look like that tiger stalking us? The unexpected, the unbelievable, and the just plain wrong. This is what Broca has to stop and go, wait a minute. Predator on my lawn? I don't know. So here's an example of marketing experiments did that I love. Free market research. We hold all the secrets to internet marketing. Buy now. Pretty good ad, right? They tested that against this one. Free marketing research. Lousy marketing ideas. Don't come to our site. And for the consumer side, they tested this. Bulldog info and resources. Site about family dog. Pictures and links here. Against this. Bulldog info and resources. Vaguely useful pet site. Affiliate links and pictures. But of course, which one won? This one got the most clicks. Now, of course, I don't think that many of those clicks converted because people were just going for the curiosity factor. And so we'll talk about how important it is not just to wake up Broca arbitrarily, but to make it match what you're trying to accomplish. Here's a business-to-business example, pretty straightforward landing page. Tested against this one. Actually, this was not a split test. It's not the same traffic, but this is what they had before, and this is something they tried. Want to be a superhero? So why is this image effective? Why not put a pretty person smiling with glasses and a professional suit? Stock photos, those work, right? I don't know. Can you imagine yourself as a kid? Or your brother? Or a friend who used to dress up? Haven't we all gone through a phase where we want the powers of a superhero? So this picture brings things from our memories. Wernicke is working. And it worked very well. So the traditional one had a 1.5 conversion rate. The second one had a 26% conversion rate. These aren't apples to apples. The main point here is that that one worked very well for them. So making sure that our message and our attempts to wake up broke is important. So I want to make sure that you guys aren't off just getting as crazy as possible. How many of you heard this quote before? 93% of all communication is nonverbal. Oh, not many. This is tossed around in America a lot. You hear this a lot, especially from people who are selling training for sales or something. And quite frankly, it's bullshit. Dr. Moravian, who wrote the study from which that was extracted, spent many years trying to correct the perception of what this meant. And the actual study said that 93% of communication is nonverbal when the words don't match the facial expression. This makes you have to stop and go, oh, wait a minute, what they're saying to me is not matching what they're saying. And what we do, what our brains do, is we favor the nonverbal. We favor the nonverbal communication. It's like this. It says bottles. But what are we going to discard? Are we going to discard the word, or are we going to discard the fact that a bottle's just not going to fit? Same thing here. So what we need to do is make sure that while we're waking up Roca, but that our message matches our brand, what we're selling, you know, our voice. We need to find our voice and then have fun with it, essentially. I'm sure that you guys have seen this. Would you rent a car from Fling? This is her webpage, and there's no way to put the length of just amazing, shining, handwritten, blinking things. It goes on for pixels and pixels and pixels. And she's pretty controversial here. She says, EU cookie law. Piss off, Von Rumpy. Me, I hammer visitors to death with cookies so I can find out what they want. The EU cookie law is an ass. So she's not holding anything back. This is probably not going to work, right? Yeah, this might wake up Broca. This might make Wernicke go, woo. But the truth is that this is the way she goes to market. So this is her giving a keynote at the e-consultancy, the Future of Digital Marketing last year. She came in her battle gear, her helmet and everything, and this is the way she does promotion. She paints up her cars, does goofy pictures. She's bidding on a Russian missile launcher. So if you came from this to a site more like this, it wouldn't work. This is not going to match. The words that she speaks doesn't match her site, and this is going to cause a problem. So she's better off with the crazy site. Here's another positive example. So I came to this page and I was surprised. This pop-up showed up. So we all hate popovers, right? Everybody says they hate popovers. In every test I've seen, read, heard about, the popover wins. Believe it or not, we all hate it, but we all use it. She used the popover just simply to prime the visitors, just to get them ready. There's nothing you can do, nothing to sign up. But she says, first times are sacred. We'll never have this moment again. So pay close attention. I have something for you. So this is making Broca go, what? And it's also touching on some of those things that Wernicke will want to pull from our memory. And that's all it has to do, with one exception, is that I have to do something, hit enter. So I've already made a commitment to this site. I don't know how well this worked for her, but this is the sort of thing that will increase people's time on your site. If you have a content site, that's very, very valuable. So let's talk about relevance to your reader. Because when it comes down to it, making Wernicke pull things from your memory is all about relevance. There are a few ways to get relevance. Number one, understanding who your audience is. And this is Marketing 101. Understanding who you're writing to. The challenge is that it usually means picking someone that you're writing to, which means discarding potentially or pissing off someone else. Roy Williams says, if you're not pissing people off, you're not writing good copy. So picking who you want to target and discarding the rest. Patek Philippe, very expensive, nice watches. They know something about their visitors. If they can afford a watch like this, they're probably in their prime learning years, middle age, which means they're very likely to have small children. So what can we grab onto in their experience? In Wernicke, what can we pull out of their mind? Well, that moment. So the copy reads, you never actually own a particularly. Broker has to go, wait a minute, what? I bought the watch, I own it, right? You merely take care of it for the next generation. And then Wernicke goes, oh. Now what about women who would give the watch as a gift? We're not including them in there. We miss them, we lose them, right? You have to pick. If you want to go after women, it's a different ad, a different approach, probably a different magazine too. What are the triggers? This one is something you can really play with. What are the things that made them type that search term or that domain name into their browser at this moment in their life? What was it? Be very, very specific. Emergency plumber Austin. I've got a leak and it's ruining my wood floors. Oh my God. But it turns out that when you put this in, there are companies that want this business. They want that emergency business. They probably have trucks all over the city and they want to make sure that they're not unused. So this is important. The trigger is, I have a plumbing emergency. I need the water turned off. Here's one of them I went to. And this is, call now. Quick service, Austin Plumber. Here's the number, 10% off. This is not responding to my trigger. This is copy that doesn't understand where I am. This is the wrong kind of landing page. This one works great. There's the truck. The truck that's going to show up. So I'm starting to imagine what's going to pull up on my curb in just a few minutes. And the guy's going to get out with his little thing and he's going to turn my water off and save my floors. No extra charge. Weekends, holidays, or nights. What if it's Saturday? What if it's late? What if it's Christmas? Austin Plumbers, 24-hour emergency plumbing, and the number. This is the guy that's going to call. They understand my triggers. So do the exercise of understanding the painfully specific things that make people type in that. We can sometimes imagine someone sitting at their desk going, I think I need a new sweater. Maybe I'll go check that out. No, they're planning for a trip, or they have a date. That's why they're coming. So you want to play to those things. You want to put those things in your copy so that you can get past Broca and wake up wearing it. Where are they? Geography. Understanding that is important. This is an interesting test. This is a company that sells experience gifts. So my wife can give me a gift of jumping out of an airplane. She very well might as well. They started here talking about the great gifts, and we have the typical fare, but they realized that geography played a role. So they tested against this page where they started off saying, where are you from? And it turns out, knowing that something is close was the most important first question. And so this page had almost 28% increase in sales. Knowing where they are, that's another way to connect with them. And then transactional or relational. So this is a very broad way of personifying your visitors. Are you selling to transactional or relational buyers? So transactional buyers' greatest fear is paying a penny too much. They see the process of shopping and comparing as part of the fun. It's part of the game. They love it. They want to be their own experts. So they will do the research, go to the sites, visit the stores. They will work you hard before they buy from you. And as a result, they're less profitable. The relational buyer, their greatest fear is buying the wrong thing. They don't want to be the expert. They want to make sure someone helps them pick the right thing. So they will pay extra for that expert. And they see shopping as part of the cost of the purchase. So the harder they have to work, the more expensive they perceive the purchase is getting. So are you selling to transactional buyers or are you selling to relational buyers? Your copy needs to reflect that. Relational buyers are going to be looking for experts. You're going to assure them that they're going to get the right thing, the best thing. You're going to show them social proof that other people have gotten the best thing and are happy with it. Versus the transactional, deals, discounts. And in fact, if you put things in the way like go for a discount, they love to play that game because they feel like they're doing the extra step to get that, to save that 10%, 50 cents. There's a little example of that. Here's an ad that starts off, save $100 on 12 world-class magazines. How many say this is a transactional copy? How many think this is relational? No? No idea? Well, I'll tell you. Save $100 is the lead. That's the first thing that's going to get read. That's transactional. Oh, I'm saving money. That's what the transactional person is looking for. Versus this, it leads off with enjoy 12 world-class reds. So the relational shopper says, oh, I'm going to get a wine that I'm not going to be embarrassed to drink, to have my friends drink. Maybe I can even brag about it. So the question here is, does this site have more transactional shoppers or relational shoppers? Well, this one won. So this site clearly has more relational shoppers. People are coming here looking for experts, looking for guidance, rather than doing the research and finding the best price. Understanding that in your business and in each piece that you write will help you get past broker and connect with Wernicke. So those are just a few of the ways that we can get relevance into our copy. And there are really 2 steps to writing killer copy. All right? These are complex, but number 1, hire a great copywriter. So the truth is that we can all write. We all know how to use Microsoft Word. But that does not make us copywriters. Hire a great copywriter. And you know you've got a great copywriter if you measure them and they succeed. So if they write something that increases your sales, increases your leads, grows your business, increases engagement, social sharing, whatever you want to measure them by, measure them. And picking a great copywriter involves a few things. First of all, I think most importantly, understand their uncovery process. Their uncovery process. How are they going to understand your business? But more importantly, how are they going to understand their readers so that they can really find these broke-awaking, Wernicke exciting themes in their copy? Are they going to talk to your team? Are they going to talk to your customer service team? Are they going to read reviews? Are they going to go and look at forums and groups? Are they going to research social media? This is where we start to understand who we're writing for. And a good copywriter will focus and emphasize this. Number 2, they've been tested before. So they've written a page that was measured. And they've done well. They have a tested portfolio. They have some design and UX knowledge. So remember, copy is not just words. It's words, typography, images, punctuation. All of these things come into play. They need to understand how their copy is going to be seen in the format that it's on. Here's just a real simple example. If they know that there's a picture of a baby facing the audience, we're all going to look right at it. That's what these eye tracking studies. The red means there's a lot of attention on that face. Not very many people are reading the all-important message. So with a little change, have the baby look at the message, and much more attention goes on the message, where the persuasion happens and the magic of growing your business and sales happens. So this is just a simple example. Here's another example of how something as simple as font size can wake up broker for sure. Broca wakes up to this sort of thing. I don't know if you can read this, but it actually says, the naked truth about our waitresses is that they only flirt with you to get a better tip. So a good copywriter is not going to be afraid of analytics. So if you tell them you have a page with a high bounce rate, they're not going to ask if you sell trampoline. Right? They understand bounce rate, they understand conversion rate, they understand abandonment rates, they understand all the things that you would be measuring yourself with. You don't have to explain it. They don't need to be experts in running reports for you. They do need to understand what they're trying to accomplish with their copy. And they focus on the bottom line. So they need to realize that clicks can only take you so far. You need leads, you need sales, you need conversions. And they're okay being measured on that. So do those things. If you can find a copywriter that matches all those, you're doing very well. They're hard to find and expensive. There was a question earlier last week when I presented this presentation, and they said, what if you don't find this person? Well, if you can find something that's close, and then together, as y'all are measuring, learn as you go, that's a great way for you both to become better at what you're doing. You understand your business better, and they understand how to write better copy. So as you might guess, how you lead a piece of copy, a web page, an email, an article, a sales ad, how you lead that off is very important. And the lead is the direction that you take. with your copy. Eugene Schwartz wrote Breakthrough Marketing. If you go to this link, you can actually get a free copy of his book in PDF form. He came up with a scale that I want to introduce you to called the awareness scale, which is very helpful for me in terms of how to determine the direction of copy. And you are going to be reviewing, as you review your copywriter's work, you're going to want to make sure they're going in the right direction. He created a scale that started off with those who are unaware of your product to those that are most aware. The unaware are actually unaware that there's even a problem. Okay? The most aware know you, your product, and probably have bought from you before, or have heard a lot about you. And in between, there are different levels. There are those that are problem aware. They're aware that they have the problem, but they have no idea if there are solutions to it. Those that are solution aware, so they know that there are some solutions to the problem they're trying to solve, and those that are product aware, so they understand which products will solve their problem. When you're working with someone who's unaware, you want to be very indirect. When you're working with somebody who's most aware, you want to be very direct. And here's some examples of what that means. So if they're most aware, in other words, they're coming back to buy again, where they know your brand very well, really they just need to know about the product and the price. Help them do the purchase. That's your primary job. Get out of the way and let them buy. If they're product aware, though, which means they're choosing maybe between yours and others, you want to use deals and discounts. They've already settled in on a solution. You just have to give them, help them buy. Claims and proof, if they're solution aware. So I know the solution, but I'm not sure what product is going to solve the problem for me. I'll use claims and proof. And if I understand the problem, but I'm not sure what sorts of solutions, I can present them with benefits and anxieties, kind of build around that problem to make them more solution aware. And then finally, if they're unaware, stories and secrets, very top level. So I might use customer email, product and price. Here's our newest product, here's the newest version, here's the next one, here's something to add on. Product and price, very straightforward. Display ads are great for product aware, so I can go and I can offer deals and ads. Claims and proof, maybe a paid ad, a pay-per-click ad, because someone's looking for a solution, and we can use claims and proof in our ads to make that work. More broad search, people who are looking for, I have this problem, I don't really understand what solutions there are, so organic search is good for that. If you can have a page that has how-to information, talks about the benefits and builds the anxieties around the problem. And then, of course, broadcast is great for stories and secrets. If no one's ever heard of the product, it doesn't aware they have the aren't aware they have the problem, broadcast media is good for that. So this is a nice model we can use to start in the right direction on our copy. Let me show you a few examples. iPad, very well known. People who own or want to own iPad understand what it is. They don't really need to do a lot of research. There's very little to compare it to. So all we need to do, and this is most aware, all we need to do is provide the product and the price. And it says select an iPad. That's their call to action. No question of learn more or anything like that. Just go select your iPad. Here's an example of a product awareness. So these are web hosting providers. They're going to use deals and discounts. Free, unlimited, $4.95, $3.45, unlimited transfers. Deals and discounts. Well, I already know I want a web host. It's just a matter of picking which one. Here's an example of a solution aware. So I need to burn some calories. I know that burning calories helps me lose weight. But what is the best solution? Well, they say that incline training burns 5 tons of calories just by walking. These are claims and proof. Gillian, I think Gillian Anderson is her name. She's a celebrity from a show called The Biggest Loser, which is fat Americans competing to lose the most weight. And then here's a good example of problem aware. So I want to sell my house. I'm worried about putting it on the market and having it sit there. The longer your home is on the market, the less you will make. Benefits and anxieties. Learn what we do that nets $9,857 more. So here's that specificity that broke away. Folks like, well, wait a minute. How come they didn't just see about $10,000? $9,857 more. And they repeat it down here. Benefits and anxiety, well written. This is something from Eugene Schwartz. This is for those that are unaware. He talks about the British miracle. So people, yes, they're growing plants, but they didn't know about the British miracle. And I love this here at the bottom. It says, warning, if you're growing dwarf plants, don't use this product because it's going to make them big. It's probably not true, but what a great hook. Stories and secrets. Here's another one. Are y'all familiar with Carbonite? It's a backup service. We use it in the States. So it's a cloud backup service, and everybody sees them as a backup service. But here's a nice story. Access your presentation from your smartphone after you left your laptop in the cab. So I wasn't aware, I could use this as an access anytime cloud storage device rather than just backup. So none of this is new. Eugene Schwartz tested his. He used different kinds of headlines, different formats, and we should be doing the same thing. So let's take a look here. This is an email series. These are subject lines. And our goal was to increase the landing page conversion rates. So we're using subject lines to increase landing page conversion rates. Not click-through rates, not open rates. We're not interested in that. Landing page conversion rates. This is for an iThermostat, an online thermostat that you can log into from any website and turn your AC on or off, monitor your usage. It's like the Nest. Are you familiar with Nest? Some of you are. Nest is like an iPhone for your thermostat. Anyways, we have this one. Limited time offer. Save 33% on TXU Energy iThermostat. Discounts and deals. That means that it's product aware, right? And this one had a 6.2% landing page conversion rate. It's easy to heat and cool your home. We don't really tell them anything about how, so this is stories and secrets. This is for people who are problem aware. I'm sorry, this is for people who are unaware. They might have never heard this. Well, it did a little bit better, 7.25%. Now you can control your thermostat online or using claims and proof. Now keep in mind that the email that this followed was the same for all of these, and the landing page was also the same. 8.17%. And then this one, get the internet thermostat for $49.99 installed. Price and product. So this is for people who are most aware. These people obviously have been exposed to it. And in our list, apparently, this was the most common one, 10.15%. That's a 165% increase over the discounts and deal-oriented one. So we know that this list has heard of the product, probably through our previous emails, and that all they need is price of product to buy. So that is, in a nutshell, what you need to know to begin writing better copy. What I want to know is how well I did. So are you all better copywriters? Let's find out. Addiction Treatment Center, again, it's just a coincidence that I have two of these in here, but they make for excellent copy tests. These are headlines on a landing page. Can we help? Call. And I left the number out. If anybody needs the number, just send me an email. Speak with a compassionate rehab specialist. Call. Ready to start healing? Call. Ready to stop lying? If so, we can help. Call. So let's see if you can tell which of these had the highest conversion rate, that generated the most calls to the treatment center hotline. We can help. How many of you think we can help? Call? No? All right. Speak with a compassionate rehab specialist. Oh, we got a couple here. Okay. Here's another. Very few. Ready to start healing? That's okay, about the same. Sounds like you guys believe D. Ready to stop lying? If so, yeah. You guys figured it out. So this was the control. Speak with a compassionate rehab specialist had a 32% increase in conversion rate. Ready to start healing? Call. That's a little bit like a new beginning. Did not work. And then ready to stop lying had a 43% increase in conversion rate. And these words, compassionate and lying, are things that we don't expect to see. These are the things that made Broca go, whoop, and allows, because lying, if you're a family member or an addict, you are well aware of being lied to or having to lie about your addiction. So you guys got it. Give yourselves a hand. Worry about distinguishing bouncers. And just to summarize, we understood what the process that blocks speech are, understanding understanding the visitors well, who they are, what their triggers are, where they're from, and whether they're rational, relational, or transactional. We understand how to hire good copywriters and measure them, and of course, course, we're going to nail the lead. We have a nice model that allows us to pick the direction we're going to take. So I invite you to look at Monday Morning Memo. Roy H. Williams showed me a lot of this research that I was able to leverage on this, and it's fascinating work if you're into copywriting. You can purchase my book here at the show, and that's how you get in touch with me. Good job, you guys.
Feels weird to be too. You
don't want to wear it.
No, I won't wear it. It's just it's so it's so much of it now. Too much. So we got time for a few questions. If somebody's got a question.
No questions after all of that.
It's super clear. So what we're going to do is we'll have okay, good. So let's get the mic over there. We got a mic for you.
When writing copy, you're always told to make it shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter until you're stuck with some sort of 3 words.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't really seem to reflect that view.
If you're writing bad copy, make it short. 3 words is enough. But if you're writing good copy, you've targeted your lead, and maybe you're having to use storytelling to get people involved, you can write long copy. Eugene Schwartz, you saw how big his ad was. These guys would, in direct mail, would use very long form copy, but they were very, very good at what they did. So if you're a good copywriter, use as much space as you need. If you're not a good copywriter, keep it short.
That's a great answer.
There's a question over here.
Okay.
Well, so yeah, I'm a designer, so I have to I work with copywriters oftentimes, and I've always heard that always write positive in positive terms. When do you think you should use positive terms, and when do you think you should
it's
use
a good
words like lying and?
It's a good question. So I would like to believe that positive always works. We've tested a number of times. And it seems more often than not negative works. It's going to depend on your audience, like the lying thing. Lying seems very negative, but in fact it's a compassionate way of speaking to them because it talks to the situation that they're in. They go to other addiction sites and they're going to be a new beginning, and it doesn't speak to them. So sometimes it's actually compassionate to be negative, to start where they are. And sometimes just out and out fear, anxieties, as we saw for someone who is problem aware. Anxieties will help them connect with the problem and motivate them to solve it, which is a gift too. Brian Tracy said that the greatest gift of a salesperson is bringing people to choice, because not doing anything means they didn't make a choice. So in our persuasive writing, if we have to use negative to bring somebody to choice and let them make a decision, even if they say no, at least they made a choice, right? And more of them will probably say yes if we're doing our job right. That's a good question.
Thanks, Morten. Let's move on. There's going to be the Meet the Expert session, and you promised you partake in that.
Absolutely.
We got a room for it. In order, copywriting, I guess, is a little bit. It has to do with language, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got a really good Swedish copywriter on house. She's over there. So she's also going to be in the Meet the Experts room to help you get along with your Swedish, right?
Can I schedule some time?
And then finally, I just want to ask you, what were you doing around 1 o'clock this night? Did you go to sleep safely?
No, I didn't.
I'm sorry. Because at 1 o'clock this night, I was up cooking the jam as a speaker gift. This is a cloudberry jam. So each berry in this has been picked by me. These berries only grow in the most mosquito-infested places in Sweden. So I picked it for you, I cooked it for you, and here's your conversion jam. Thanks for coming.
It's cloudberry?
Cloudberry.